Hi everyone, welcome to Mompreneur Space live show podcast where I interview inspiring moms from all around the world so that you can learn from them how they overcome their challenges and struggles. I'm your host Kenneth Chu and today is 110th episode of Mompreneur Space live show podcast. This podcast started with a very simple thought of sharing inspiring mompreneur story so that mothers who want to start a business, you are able to resonate and start to make a difference in your life or your family's life. Over the past 5 years, I've met and come across a lot of amazing mompreneurs that I share their stories on my podcast. Today's guest is a very, very dear friend and an amazing mompreneur who I've known for many years. She's indeed a great mentor that you would love to have. At the same time, she was my fourth guest of my podcast in August 2017. Time flies and really, really very fortunate to be able to invite her back again on this episode 110. It felt so unbelievable. And in this episode, we'll be talking about how to land your soul-aligned clients. Millie Leung is an award-winning business mentor. She's known for helping coaches, consultants, and service-based experts to attract and land soul-aligned clients so that they can make more money, impact more lives, and have more time for their loved ones. Using her strategies, clients achieve results anywhere from booking their first client to generating US $10,000 in one day and $58,000 in 1 month. She has also won the year 2023 Women Leaders Award in Business Mentoring by Iron Lady Award, Female Entrepreneur of the Year, Gold Award 2022 by Titan Women in Business, 2022 Women of Influence, Top 50 Most Influential Women of the Year by Success Magazine, and year 2022 Mentor of the Year by Women Icon. And without further ado, let us welcome Millie. Hi, Millie. Welcome. You are muted. You hold on.
Is
Okay.
hello everyone. I say hello again.
No
Good
problem.
morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're logging in. Thank you so much, Kenny, for the amazing intro. And it's been a few years that we
Yeah.
were live. Amazing.
Yes. And in fact, time flies. And just now we were talking about it before we go live, right? It has been
Yeah.
6 years, and you were my fourth guest. And not just that, you were also being interviewed and featured in my book, Mother Industrialist. And like, I cannot imagine that like our friendship have grown over the years, and now you are back again. I'm very happy, very excited to have you back. So maybe for those who are tuning in and for the audience, right, maybe you can share with everyone who are you, where are you from, and currently what are you doing?
Wonderful. So my name is Billy, and to describe myself, you said, where am I from? It is always a complicated question because the best way to describe where I'm from is that I'm an international citizen. I was born in Hong Kong. I grew up in Canada. I worked many years in the US, and then I started my business um, 12 years ago now, back in Singapore when I first moved there. And then I'm currently in Taiwan. So, truthfully, I am a perfect blend of East meet West, I would say. So, uh, uh, just to talk a little bit about background, years ago, I went to school, follow the traditional path of success. Go to school, get good grades, get a good job, land a job and work hard. And then I did that for quite a number of years, advanced to a pretty senior position. And then when I had my first child, pregnant with my first child, I decided that because my corporate job was so busy, I decided to take some time off and I become a stay-at-home mom. So I think some of your community, you are kind of you're serving the mompreneur space for so long, and you connect with the mompreneurs so well. I think a lot of your audience would really resonate with this. So for me, it was taking some time off so that I can focus on my child, focus on my family. But interestingly, I'm sure you also heard similar story that after about a year or so being a stay-at-home mom, I felt that there was a little void. It's not that being a stay-at-home mom is not fulfilling in its own way. However, I felt that in my heart, I felt like there is something bigger out there that I really want to achieve. I just felt this calling that I have to act on it and do something, use something that is what I call my gift now, something that I love to do, something that I'm passionate about, and turn it into a business so that I can be out there, impact more lives. And also, I feel that as a mom, it would be wonderful if I can start my own business, have that flexibility, still have time for my child, and yet be able to grow a business that I feel passionate about, deeply satisfying, and also make an income, right? So that is when I started my own business in 2011. Oh my God, that's 12 years.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's been really a long journey. So it's been amazing.
Wow. I think in these 12 years, right, a lot of things, because I guess I know you most part of it, right?
Yeah,
I was just thinking like, how long have I known you? Maybe 8, 9 years
at
around
least
there.
that. I think probably longer than that.
Is that?
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, and time really flies. And during this period of time, right, which is also another thing that I want to ask you is, how does it feel like being back on my podcast after almost 6 years? Like just now, we didn't really talk about it, but I just want to maybe share with the audience. How do you feel after being back on my podcast after 6 years? Like, things have changed for you, things have changed for me, and how's it like for you?
I'm really excited to be back on this podcast. It's almost like documenting the journey a little bit, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And back more than 6 years ago, it was good, but it was different. Let me go back a little bit so that your audience really gets to understand the depth of my story. Now, when I started my first business, I really didn't know anything about building a business, had no prior business experience because, like I said, I was in the corporate world. I was a stay-at-home mom, and but I have this big dream of building my own business. So I didn't know anything. Literally no experience in business, no branding, marketing, and sales skills. And I was in this very unique situation that when I first started my business, I was in Singapore that I just moved to um, for 2 weeks. So I literally have just two connections in the entire Singapore. And back then, I also didn't have a lot of money because I lost a lot of my hard earned savings back in the global financial crisis in 2009, 2010. So, really was in a situation that I had very little money. I didn't have a whole lot of time because my girl is just a year old. I didn't have any connection. I have no experience. And I also really, back then, 12 years ago, social media wasn't quite such a big thing then. I had less than 50 friends on all my social media platforms together. So it was really just a lot of struggle at the beginning. I remember when I first started building my business, I was standing on the street. Imagine the hot sun, in Singapore, just sweating, standing on the street, giving out flyers, knocking on strangers' door, doing surveys and going to endless networking event, trying to just get to know somebody so that they could look into my product, my services, and my opportunities to work with me. So because I was really not good, and I just didn't know a lot of things that I do know today. So back then I was being rejected over and over again. So back in 6 years ago, that was a few years into my business. My business was already doing quite well. In fact, I would say it already turned into a seven-figure business by the time I was on your first interview 6 years ago in 2017. I had published my international best-selling book by then as well, called Mind and Money Makeover. And I was interviewed in your amazing book. So anyone who is on this audience having gotten this book, you should absolutely grab Kenneth's book. It's awesome. And so by that time, when you interviewed me, I think it was really in a great space in terms of where I've advanced from not knowing anything, just really struggling to, achieving all those things. Not only that, by that time, I think when you interview me, I've also started some of my giving back initiatives, probably have donated one or two schools. And by now I've donated built and donated three schools in developing countries. So really
Wow.
came a long way. But again, 6 years ago now, things always are shifting, things are always transitioning, and I'm always growing as a person. So this last 2 years or so, I would say, I've also pivoted a little bit about in terms of how my business run, because back then I was really focusing on building my own business in the online travel space. And as you know, because of COVID and a lot of changes in my own personal life, about 2 years ago, I took some time off to really reflect on the next thing I want to focus on. And I think we also spoke, not on camera, but off camera, we also spoke, to a certain extent back then. And about a year ago, a year and a half ago, I really pivoted to what I'm focusing on right now. Is that I decided to take all the 12 years of learning and experience, also working in my own business, growing my own business from not knowing anything to leveraging social media to grow to a 7-figure business. And I started growing my own coaching business. Although I've been coaching business since 2012, but now it's really focusing on my own framework and helping my clients to land their soul aligned clients using very soul driven, soulful marketing method. So which we can talk a little bit more about. So things have definitely shifted, and I really enjoy the new transition, the new space I'm in right now.
Wow, when you talk about all that, I was like, wow, everything was just coming back to me from the last time I interviewed you. And I would say back then, right, we were not that close because it was like, oh, finally I got Millie, who's an international speaker. She published a book. In fact, I do not know whether I shared with you that, in fact, you were the one who inspired me to write a book. And in the end, we end up
Oh,
with the same publisher because you
oh,
because of you publishing the book, right? I know about Black Card Books. And then when I attended the workshop, I realized, I saw Millie's
oh
book,
yeah, they show
right?
my picture.
Yes,
Yeah, they
yes.
showcase. Yes, I remember you sent a picture to me. Oh my God, yes, now I remember.
Yeah,
Craziness.
and seeing that, right, because of all the achievement you have achieved, right, from publishing the book, being a speaker, doing well in your business and all that, that really inspired me. And that was also the reason why it encourages me to reach out to you, to invite you to be interviewed and featured in my book, and then also invite you onto my podcast. And you were very, I would say, very welcoming, and very honored to have you being my fourth guest, because without all these amazing mompreneurs that agreed to be on my podcast, this podcast will not last till today, right? Because mothers love to share and say, hey, Kenneth, do you know this? Mompreneurs and all that. So moms keep on sharing, referring people on my podcast, and that's how it has been 100 over episodes. I also have to give myself a big pat, and also very thankful for all the mompreneurs in the past, I would say 6-7 years, right, in supporting me. And at the same time, when you talk about all this, right, I want to share with everyone, because in these 6 years, especially in the past 2 to 3 years, right, I see how you have pivoted your business, how you have started building a personal brand. Especially, you were really very focused on creating content and really giving back, as because you have built up all this successful business, and also helping people, mentoring people, and that's where you started producing content. And if I do not know whether you still remember, we were talking about it. I think we talked about whether you should have your YouTube channel, you should be producing content and all that. So I was saying that I'll be the first one to be your subscriber, to be on your on your even for your YouTube channel, right? So when you first launched your YouTube channel, I was like, wow, finally Millie is launching her YouTube channel with all the content, with all the values, and you get better and better. And I was thinking, like, you have 2 kids and you have a business to run, and at the same time you're producing content. You were very consistent. Every week you are producing new content, and you got better and better, and like your base, your subscriber. So what I just want to understand, what encourages you to do that, building a YouTube channel, building content, because to be consistent, right, it's not easy. So maybe you can
Yeah.
share with the audience on that.
So it's really come back down to the point that I was at this space in my life that I felt like I've learned so much in the last 10 years from my own experience of building a business as a mompreneur. As you know, mompreneur has a very unique space that we are trying to juggle between, running your kids, bringing up your kids, spending the time, also running your household and building a business, right? So there are a lot of moving pieces around. And I felt like being in that position in the last 10 years, especially built from zero to a 7-figure business, I've learned a whole lot. And it was time to really give back and serve and put that all together in a space that people can go in and just, learn from that, the information. So I spent more than a year pretty consistently, like you said. Every week there was a YouTube video that came out, as well as my own podcast called the Shine to Impact, that I did that for more than a year. Now, that was a lot of effort, of course, but it also was a great process for building my brand. Now, of course, I'm a little less now on YouTube, a little less on my podcast. I'm now focusing more on my Facebook. So if your audience want to connect with me, now the best place would be right now on Facebook. However, I do have some plan in the future. I might get back to maybe a podcast in the future as well. So it's just different phases of the business that I was focusing on different things. So yeah.
Yeah, I think that's good because a lot of time, I believe that you come across mothers who wanted to start business, mothers who struggling, right? It's always trying new things, like coming from your comfort zone. And for you, because you're already a very established business mentor and all that, and for you to start doing content and producing is challenging. Like I don't see a lot of mentor that are doing and that consistent in producing their content. And because I think you got more comfortable and your personality really stood out, right? I didn't know that you were that goofy. I didn't know that you are still you have that acting skills inside. But I guess it kind of opened up, and that is where, although we don't really talk that often, but every time I see that you are developing, you are being different, and also helping. There's a lot of, I would say, from your experience. You are the tips you are sharing are very practical. They can be used at any point of time, especially for those who are starting off. It's a very, very good content for them to understand on how they start the basics, like business 101. So having said that, right, because at this point of time, you talk about business, talking about coaching people, and because today's topic, right, is how to land your soul aligned clients, and this topic was given by you. You said, hey, let's talk about this. So my question is, why did you choose to talk about this? Like, why is it like so aligned clients? Why it's not like how to land your target clients, which is what most of us would know in business, right? To talk about target audience, but why yours is so aligned clients? Maybe you can share
Yes, great question. So now, as you mentioned in the introduction, my main focus now is to help coaches, consultants, and service-based experts attract and land their soul-aligned clients using soulful marketing and sales strategies. So this is really close to my heart because as I was building my business, I also came across different business owners, and on the online space, what I find that something sometimes is quite noisy in a sense that there are different tactics out there. Sometimes people come across not so authentic, maybe a little bit salesy, a little bit pushy, some even a little bit more manipulative. Now, I'm not saying right or wrong. However, I just feel that um, I have to really listen to my heart. And for the way I like to do business, I like to work with people, business owner, entrepreneurs, coaches, consultants, service-based experts who are really like aligned with my core values, that they have this heart to serve. I think if any of the audience would listen to any of the content that I put out there, whether it's on my Facebook, whether it is on my podcast and YouTube, they'll get a sense of who I am. And giving back, really serving the community is something that very close to my heart. So that is why I feel like there's definitely a difference if you are just talking about landing clients versus letting people who are like really understanding who you are, that soul aligned level, like on the value level, like who you are. That is the best way, because I have worked with different entrepreneurs, and I find that it is just so much joy and so much more fulfilling when you are working with people who are on a soul aligned level, people who truly understand the value, your where you're coming from, and that is all often the best way. So I would say it is more than just your ideal client, in a way that not just like in terms of the demographics, but also in terms of where they are in terms of the core value. I think that is the best way that I can describe it.
Yeah, I totally agree with you on that because, like, for me, I've been running my marketing consultancy for the past 7, 8 years, and in the beginning, you are just going out there to reach out to any kind of clients, right? But over the years, I think we learn from like experiences or the mistakes, or and we realize that not every clients we need to land them in. We need to land
Mhm.
on land
Correct.
them, yeah,
Correct.
to
Very
to to
important.
and you talk about the value and all that, because in every business, I think it's also the personality of us being a business owner. If let's say, like for my case, right, there are some people that I try not to, right, try not to be. I would not say go for the money. In like, I believe for all business owner, you want to get sales in, bring in income, but sometimes this fast cash, right, is not. There will be some repercussion after that. That means if you
Yeah,
land this
not the best
client.
aligned clients, some nightmare clients perhaps
Yeah,
even.
correct. So I think over the years, I like, from your experience, I think over years you realize that some of them is, if your intuition or your gut, right, tell you that you should not, right, then you should not
You should
bring in
not.
this. Yeah,
Absolutely.
and because it has been a nightmare, like I believe you have your own fair share of getting clients like, oh, I should not have not forced it, and take this on, right? So I think this is also something very important for a lot of entrepreneurs, or even for moms who wanted to start business, right? Sometimes when you feel that you should not, then maybe you should trust your intuition and not land these clients, because there will be a lot of, I would say, the post sales stuff. Even after that, you still need to handle the clients, or even
Yeah,
some
absolutely.
ridiculous demands and all that. So I think this is also very important. So maybe on top of that, right, what would you say would be the challenges that most entrepreneurs face in landing their soul aligned? Because it's easy said than done, right? Like, having that value in line, having like maybe belief system all aligned. So how does it work for to have a soul aligned? What is it like to have that?
So maybe can you allow me to go back to the last question so I can elaborate a little bit on what I mean by how, what
Mm,
is the how to land your soul aligned client? I think that would give some value to your amazing audience who are tuning in today. Maybe they are particularly wanting to know what is the secret? What is that
mm,
framework to landing soul aligned clients? Okay, I can deliver some value. So how I like to talk about this is my signature framework. Now I call it the Shine to Impact framework. So, what is the Shine to Impact framework? My signature framework. So, it's actually three different key components because through the last 12 years, while I built business and been coaching and training now more than 40,000 entrepreneurs worldwide on different capacity, I found that there are three main components when it comes to building a very successful and profitable and impactful business. And the three main components are this. The first component is what I call aligned strategy. Aligned strategy. So, what I mean by that is when you have an aligned strategy, it is that you have a clear roadmap and plan on exactly what you're doing. You have a complete clear vision, clarity on what is going on. And that all the pieces that you are planning into what you're going to do makes sense, like all the pieces in the puzzle that makes sense. And all the pieces together has a purpose, why they're in that plan. So an example of somebody who doesn't have an aligned strategy is that if you feel that you're just throwing spaghetti on the wall, you're just throwing things on the wall, you are always hustling, you're always changing, you are hearing some strategy online that somebody is using IG very successful, somebody using TikTok, somebody using LinkedIn, then you shift over and shift over. You are constantly shifting your strategy, your marketing method maybe, or maybe you have shiny object symptoms, right? So that is and an indication or symptoms of that you don't really have an aligned strategy. Because when you have an aligned strategy that fits into your personality, your lifestyle, and gives you the clear outcome from that strategy, then you feel at ease. You feel everything is cohesive. Then you know exactly what you need to do in the next 3 months or 6 months. Very, very clear. right? So that is a clear indication of whether you have an aligned strategy or whether or not you don't have an aligned strategy. So, and once you have an aligned strategy, everything should actually be simplified. So one of the things I'm very, very big about is having that aligned strategy so that you can actually simplify everything and cut all the unnecessary out. Just focus on the things that truly move the needle. Especially for a mompreneur, when we're so busy, that focusing on just the thing that moves the needle is so critical and so important. So that is why the first component of my Shine to Impact framework is an aligned strategy. That's number one. Now, the second component of my Shine to Impact framework is mindset activation. So what I mean by mindset activation is that, especially for new entrepreneurs who are just starting out, or entrepreneurs who are at, from 0 to 2K to 3K US dollars a month. This is the beginning stage of the business, right? So things are just starting to come together, or maybe they're still figuring things out. So I can tell you a big part of this part of the journey is really your mindset. Everything happens in reality is first happening in this, 7-10 inches of your space in your head. So you really have to get to know how your mind works, how your mindset works, how you can tune in, because that is where everything starts. If you know how to really have your mindset support you in your journey and having that abundance mindset, then you will do much better. So an example of people who not yet have the mindset activation is that they might have imposter syndrome, that they are afraid to show up and get visibility online. And also some of that is very common is that they believe that they always have to hustle. I feel that in the society, there's a lot of the hustling culture, which I do believe in hard work, but I'm more importantly believing in strategic work, which means, like I said, in the aligned strategy, by being focused on your aligned strategy, you can actually reduce and eliminate a lot of the busy work and focus on what truly moves the needle. So a lot of the mindset work is that you would have that you feel like you have to work hard um, in order to get results. And another mindset block that I also very commonly see for entrepreneurs who are between a 0 to 2K and 3K month is that they might also have this. I mentioned about imposter syndrome. Another very common mindset block that I see in my clients is that because of their upbringing, maybe from the mom and dad in the society, they feel like they have to undercharge themselves. It's rather common, but it's a part of the journey of growing their own self-confidence, because that is a lot of times what you charge. Of course, it has a lot to do with the value that you provide, to the world, but it has also a lot to do with your own story that you're telling in yourself in your own head. So that is why the key second piece of the component is the mindset activation. That is also part of the work that I do with my clients, because I feel like it's such a core piece of the puzzle. If they don't have this piece, they'll find that they're constantly being afraid, constantly starting and stopping, because they are hold back by their own self-limiting belief. So that is the second core piece of the puzzle. The first main component of my Shine to Impact framework is, of course, what I call soulful marketing. Soulful marketing. Now, when I say marketing, I am really talking about the whole umbrella of sales, marketing, communication, visibility, and content. So as you know, Kenneth, and we also talk about content just now, and all of these are part of your marketing and sales strategy. And it is critical, especially during the first 1 to 3 years of your business, that you really, really focusing on your marketing and sales, because that is how you will get your name out there. This is how you will connect with your potential soul aligned clients. And that is how you're going to attract people and land your client and close the case, right? So, but the method that I like to use is what I call the soulful marketing. Because like I said, I do believe that there are a lot of people who are using more sleazy, salesy type of marketing method, and which is not what I like to do. And that is why I focus on teaching and coaching my clients what I call the soulful marketing methodology, which is really coming from a deep understanding of your soul aligned clients, your ideal client. And when you can understand your soul aligned clients on a deep level, understanding their pain point, their frustrations, and the deep desire, and be able to communicate in them and understanding where they need help on. And then you go in and provide your service and your product or your coaching and consulting to fill that gap and meet them where they are. That is where the magic occurs. And I can tell you with my methodology, soulful marketing is it's the whole spectrum, a whole spectrum. That means from how you put out content out there, how you be able to showcase your value, and how you be able to generate leads from your amazing content, to how you nurture your audience, and how you have that sales conversation that your person that you speak to on the other end, whether it's through DM or whether through a sales call, they feel listened to, they feel heard, they feel connected with. And I can tell you the method that I teach my client, it is so amazing because you will not feel like you're pushing. It is just a very natural conversation, and it takes a lot of pressure off you as well. And I can tell you time and time and time over again that when my clients sign up to my program, they decide to work with me either one-on-one or when they actually confirm, the best compliment, and you know you've done it right, is when the person pay you money and say thank you to you. That's when you know you've done it right. That is what I call the soulful marketing methodology from the whole process that I take my clients through. So like, let me recap. So again, the whole, and again, if you know you haven't done soulful marketing, what you see is that you're having a hard time. Either you feel scared to have that kind of marketing or sales conversation, or you're feeling a disconnect with your client, with your potential audience, that they're not really connecting with your content. And also, when you have a DM conversation or a sales conversation, it feels very forced, and that your potential client feel uncomfortable. That is a sign, a symptom that you're not adopting the soulful marketing methodology. So that is my framework, what I call shine to impact framework, because I really feel that the three pieces have to work cohesively together. You cannot just have one piece of the puzzle and not have the two other pieces, right? And you cannot have just two pieces and missing the other one. All three pieces have to go hand in hand. The aligned strategy, the mindset activation, plus the soulful marketing. And when you have these three pieces together and they're balanced, it is so powerful, and it's such a cohesive way to move through your business and really build your business in a very empowered and very inspired and very comfortable way, and you will feel the difference. So that is that's why I want to go into a little bit about the framework, and I hope that delivers some value to your audience as well on that part.
Wow. I was like very captivated because of how you put it and share with us your shine to impact framework. I felt that I was like watching one of your YouTube videos. I was like, okay, I'm
Oh,
learning. Yeah. And I think it's also important because in this world of running business, right, a lot of it's very noisy,
yeah,
and I believe for my audience who are mothers who want to start a business, it's even noisier for them because they have their kids to take care of, they have their family house chores to take care of, and some of them are also professional, still working,
yes,
transiting, finding a or building a side hustle. And with your framework, basically the three parts, right? Align strategy, mindset activation, soulful marketing is very simple, right? The framework is just this three piece, but I believe that in these three piece, there's even
of
deeper
course, yes,
process,
yes,
even more things to cover. But I guess it's easier for them to digest, especially for mothers. If you give them too much things, they
correct,
feel that I can't do it, right?
yeah.
So that's where I believe that your framework make it easier for anyone to really digest, to really work on it, or to really understand what you are providing at the
Yeah,
same
I
time.
think you talk about a very key point, because I hear over and over again from the people who is ever come to my master classes or has been coached by me, that is a very common and common theme that I'm keep hearing, is that I always break down very complex ideas and concept and break it down into very, very simple and actionable steps that can actually help people to move the needle. And because, a lot of times when you are hearing everything, it becomes overwhelming. And when you become overwhelmed, you don't know what actions to take. And that is why I think a lot of people like the way I teach and like the way I do content, is because I always take the noise out of the equation and just condense it. I think has a lot to do with my engineering background. I didn't go into that part of the story, but I came from an engineer. So I have my mind works in a very funny way, in that I like structure. And I felt that I operate the best when I have structure. And that is why a lot of my audience who connect with me, they often feel like the way I teach is like so simple. And yet when they take this simple concept and execute it, they will work. Because in each of these modules, when I actually go into either my coaching or my programs, I dig deep into each of this. I actually go through all the steps, but in very digestible, actionable steps, because I think it's not just about learning, but more about executing and taking the action. And that is what actually moves the needle, right? So whether it's one of the online masterclasses that I did was called 10K Client Formula Masterclass. I got so many amazing feedback. It's really taking somebody who has very little time from zero to building a 10K month business. And I broke it down into such a simple framework, more actionable than what I just mentioned just now, in this very, very simple framework in the 10K Client Formula Masterclass. And the result, the feedback I've been getting was just amazing. Like, I would highly recommend it if you are at an early stage of building your business, getting to the 2 or 3K, or getting to, a 10K month. That is a really amazing program that you can check it out on my website.
Yeah, thanks, Millie, for sharing that. And I believe that what makes it wonderful, because of your experience, right? And a lot of clients that you face, you realize that simple, right? Simple actionable steps is the key thing.
Yes.
A lot of time, like you mentioned, in the market, there's a lot of marketing gurus or business consultant. They make it so complicated,
Yes.
they make it so informative,
Yes.
but there's no actionable step,
Yes.
because they are just overloading you and make you feel that, oh, I'm learning a lot of things, but there's no one actionable step that you can
Yeah.
do.
I also enrolled in some programs and courses before, and when you log in, it's like, oh god, 70 videos that you have to watch, and there are like 200 or worksheets that you have to do. It was just really overwhelming. And I can say a lot of times too much information is not good. The way I like to proceed with my business is actually less is more. Really
Mm.
distill it down to the key components that would move the needle, and just focusing on things, those key aligned strategy, and keep moving forward on those. And that would be a huge transformation that you see in your business if you just focus on that one piece.
Yeah, and I realized that you kept talking about strategy, and it is something that is very amazing, because a lot of time I believe that you have clients that they're so focused on the processes, right? They're focused on the day to day, and they forgot to strategize, they
Yes.
forgot to plan, they forgot to think, start do most of the thinking, but they're always caught up with that operating process. So what would your advice be for those who are, like, especially for mothers, right? A lot of them started off with very operational, they're very hands-on, but they often forget how to maybe start planning or start strategizing. What would be your advice for them? Because this is what I see.
Yes. So one of the best way, and I'm not saying that in a sense that, I'm saying that from a very important personal experience, is that sometimes we cannot see our own blind spot. And that is just the truth. So working with somebody like a coach or a mentor is a huge asset if you want to compress your time frame, because you honestly cannot see your own blind spots. So at the earlier phase of your own business, there are 3 C's that you need to focus on. 3 C's. The first C is your craft. What I mean by that is really to upgrading whatever your niche is, whether you're a fitness coach, that means maybe taking classes on nutrition. Maybe if you are a social media coach, then you need to really focusing on your craft. Maybe you need to fine tune and get better at IG. That is your craft. That is what is very important in the early stage of your business, your 3C. The first C is actually your craft. The second C is actually get a coach. The earlier you can start getting a coach or a mentor, I use that word interchangeably, or consultant in that sense, somebody can guide you, give you accountability, and help you to really figure out your aligned strategy. Otherwise, you're going to spend a lot of time running in circles. The moment I realized that I need someone to be able to see it, somebody who's walked through the journey and see it very clearly from a 3,000 square feet up, rather than I'm just this little person down here running in circles. That mentor, that coach really help you to see things clearly and help you to find to, okay, you don't need to do these 8 things. Just focus on these 2 things and you start to see result. And that is why a value of having a mentor or a coach is to get clarity and to compress your timeline and to get accountability. And that is very important. And the third C is what I call in courses and programs. Now, other than having a coach or mentor, there are other things that you want to get support on that you want to go and learn, because I feel that learning is always, when you build your own business, can it
Okay, Millie, are you there? Okay, so guys, I guess Millie got disconnected. You hold on. Let me just bring her back.
I'm right here.
Okay, welcome back, Millie.
Okay, so let's continue. The last C, let me rewind just a little bit. The
Yep.
last C is really about courses and programs. In a sense that these are things that you supplement into your learning journey, because along the way, you always want to up level. You always want to get better. Kenneth, you would know, building a business is really a self-discovery journey as well as a transformative experience. You know a lot about your own mindset. You might likely going through some roller coaster, as well as every time you are trying to up level yourself, you feel that sense of discomfort again, right? Like, I know that when I first put myself out there at my YouTube channel, I felt so uncomfortable and scared. And as time grew by, I felt more and more comfortable and more in ease. And then it takes a shorter and shorter time, right? It's the same thing when I started to put myself out there on social media, on my Facebook. And when I don't have an audience, now I grew it and 15,000 follow me on my Facebook. It's really a journey to get comfortable, right? And when I first launched my one-on-one coaching program, I was like scared as heck. But again, it's every time you up level yourself, you have to go through this discomfort. So just always knowing that is a personal transformative and personal self-discovery journey. And it's such an amazing journey when you get through it and you find that, oh my God, like looking back a year, these things, I've grown so much. So that is why I said, these 3 C's, your craft, a coach, or courses, right? Very important. But along the way, you continue to up level and continue to push and grow yourself. So yeah, hope that answered your question.
Wow. That is an amazing golden nuggets that we have, like the 3C, which is your craft, to work on your craft and get a coach or a mentor, and then also the courses and program. Because when you talk about it, right, like all the, like you putting yourself out of the box, getting out from your comfort zone. It reminds me of this podcast, like Mompreneur Space. It started
Yeah.
off with Mother Industrialist live show, and then it transformed to Mompreneur Space. It's always like moving forward, and you talk about journey. this is also a conversation I had with some of the business owners. We talk about why is it not called entrepreneur destination? It's called entrepreneurial journey because it's a journey. There's no end to it, right?
Exactly.
You can't just keep on moving and discovering. And if you are not up for this ride, right, like the entrepreneurial journey, right, then you better stop somewhere and get off at a certain stop because it is a
It
journey.
is a
Like
journey.
for us, like 6 years ago and now, whatever you're doing back then and now is totally different. You have evolved, you have transformed, and you also have transformed a lot of lives through your coaching and all that stuff. And I believe it's important when you talk about getting coaches and also mentor,
Yeah.
because that really can cut short your learning curve. Like for your case, right? Like just now I talk about like you when you publish your book, you are like the role model, you are like the mentor. Okay, get a book, all right? Then after that, you start speaking. Okay, I start speaking. So that we always need someone that has been there, done that, to really give us guidance, to give us I would say the North Star for us to reach out to. Because a lot in this journey, right, we will always get lost.
Mm.
We'll always be distracted, like you say, the silver object syndrome, right?
Yeah. And we
We're
always have
always going
blind
for something
spots.
new.
We don't see everything that we don't know what we don't know, right? To be honest. That
Yes.
is why having a mentor, having a coach is so valuable. And you can't do it alone. It's seriously a very lonely journey and trying to figure everything out by yourself. You want to compress time by investing in yourself. Yes.
Yeah, and I just want to ask you one question about the coaching part, right?
Mm.
Because I believe that a lot of audience, even for mothers, they'll be thinking that, um, how would, because in this noisy world,
Yes.
right, in this space, right, a lot of people are branding themselves as coaches and
Mm.
mentors and all that. How do you, how should we filter, or how do you find a coaches that is, what do you
Feel
call it,
right for you.
the
Yeah.
right coach for you at
Yeah.
certain period of
So
time?
I absolutely, that is a great question, Kenneth. And what I really encourage your audience, your community to do is, like I said, it's very important to have a coach or a mentor. Then how do you find that mentor or coach? I highly encourage you to look through the content that they put out, whether it's the YouTube or the podcast or the social media. You feel that you're connecting with who they are, because there are a couple of things that you really want to pay attention to. Number one is does that person have the kind of lifestyle, the result that you're wanting to get, right? Because there are people who are teaching different ways, and if you don't like the way they do it, because there are coaches out there that are constantly launching, they're using very complicated tags and funnels and stuff like that. If you don't feel aligned to the right, that kind of method, then maybe that is not the best coach for you, right? You have to go in and really see if that the way they do the business connects with you. That's number one. The methodology, the framework, connect with where you want to go. And also if they have the result that you want to strive for. The second thing is really to check out whether the way they coach and whether the way they teach and they speak connect with you. Because there are a lot of coaches out there, but I can tell you for a fact that not everyone is going to feel right for you. And you would just know it. There'll just be people that you come across and you feel like, something is a bit off. And you will listen to that intuition, right? Some would just not feel like it's a right fit. So you have to find the right person, the person that you feel like, okay, when I listen to your podcast or YouTube, or when I see her content, I feel connected. And that is sort of also maybe the value of that mentor you connect with, right? Because there are definitely people who believe in hustling a lot, and which I don't believe in hustling a lot. I believe in being strategic and removing the pieces that don't actually move the needle, so that I can streamline and focus on the things that truly matter, so that I have time for myself and for my daughters. And that is important to me. So you really have to find who you feel aligned with. And once you find somebody, then I will encourage you, in order to, before you go invest in their coaching program, whether it's a group coaching program or a one-on-one coaching program, usually it's a higher ticket, right? If they're really getting the result, then it could be in the thousands of dollars, right? $2,000, $6,000, $5,000, $10,000. It could be a higher dollar amount. So I highly encourage you to get comfortable with them by maybe investing in their mini courses, their master classes, just so to see if you feel like the way they teach in the masterclasses that they're delivering value, the way they speak would connect with you, maybe buy the lower ticket. Maybe they have something that is under $100. You can go and test drive. Maybe then if you feel, oh, that is really, really good. I can't believe she delivers so much value in this, $49 masterclass. Then you will want to check out her next one. Maybe that is slightly over $100 and you bought that and you feel, oh my God, that is just so amazing. You get to see and feel comfortable in your own comfort level in terms of how you connect with this coach and mentor, as well as you want to start to feel more and more comfortable in investing in yourself. The reason I think is very important is because a lot of the newer entrepreneur, they feel uncomfortable investing in themselves. But I can tell you that it is a muscle that we have to grow. And the moment that you start to invest more and more in yourself is also a indication of self-trust. Because when you can invest in, a few $1,000s in a program, you feel like the reason why you're able to do that is because you're trusting that you're going to execute. You're trusting that no matter what you get, you're going to be able to get value, and that will propel you to the next up level of your business. So it's a muscle that you have to grow. I remember years ago when I first started, I would feel scared to invest in something that is just $50. I would be like scared. I have to think about it for a long time. I remember there was a time that there was a program that I really wanted to get. It was just maybe $49. It really wasn't a lot, but I was thinking about it for a long time. And now I invest in programs that are 4-figure, even like 5-figure in mentorship. And I would meet a mentor that I feel connected. And within, 2 days, I would invest 4-figure into it because I felt connected. I felt that it's the right mentor for me. So it's a muscle that you have to grow. And the more you feel comfortable, it's more that you would trust yourself more and know that if you invest in the right thing, I've seen it over and over again. Things I invest in bring me 10 times, 20 times, even like hundreds of times of my return on investment. So I honestly, full-heartedly encourage the mompreneur to start investing in themselves, because that is the only way for them to truly advance themselves in a compressed timeline, instead of trying to figure everything out by themselves, but you're losing so much time and you don't have the clarity. Because like I said, having a coach, having those programs, and honoring, crafting, honing your craft is really something that you want to focus on in the first few years of your business. And having a coach and buying into the right program is so crucial to that growth. So grow that muscle of getting comfortable in investing in yourself, knowing that, and have that right mindset, the activation of the mindset that whatever you invest in is going to bring you 10 times, 20 times, 50 times, 100 times the return on investment. Right? So you grow that muscles so that you can up level your business, you can up level your life, you can up level your mindset. That is very, very important.
Wow, I just got something so valuable from you. I believe that the audience, especially the mothers, right? Because as we know, right, for mothers, they might not have the time. And sometimes if they come across someone they felt it is, then they will just invest in it. They will just jump into it without all the steps that you talk about, like talking about the framework, the result, the masterclass that they have, whether you feel aligned. It seems that you just shared like how to land your soul aligned coaches, right? So it's like how, because it's like when you talk about it, it seems like the soul has to be aligned when you find a coach, because you have to, first thing, you have to trust a coach.
Mm,
You have to feel comfortable.
mm,
You also have to, when you talk about, you have to invest in yourself,
yes,
because a lot of time I think that is that mindset shift,
yes, very
right?
important.
A lot of I would say new entrepreneurs, they will jump in, they say, okay, I will invest in this course. In fact, you're not investing in the course, you're investing in yourself,
Yes,
in learning, in upgrading. So I think that mindset shift that you mentioned, I think is very, very
yeah.
important. And I would
I
love to
would
have
let me
you
jump in for just a tiny bit. I'm not saying that you have to look into that coach for a very long time. I have personally invested 4-figure in a coach just after 2 days of seeing her content. Like, my point is, when you grow that muscle of trusting yourself and investing in yourself and know what is that you're looking for, that decision, because people who are who are movers, what I call movers,
Mm,
are always trusting in themselves, take fast actions. We're not dragged, and they like to make decisions from where they want to go instead of where they are today. Oftentimes, when people are like stuck in that time frame, I can't invest because they're so stuck in the present moment, not knowing that I need to invest in the future me. That's where I want to go, and that is why I need to invest so that I can get there, right? So that's just a little point I want to go in. So it's not always to observe this coach for 3 years so that I feel comfortable with
mm,
her. It's not that. It's really growing that muscle and feeling who is aligned with you.
yeah. I think that comes before, let me, how should I put it? That comes after you have you have clarity of where you want to go, right?
Mm,
Because so that you can find that coach that you can invest in. Because like you mentioned, right, they have to know where they are going. A
yeah,
lot of times
yeah.
they do not
That
have
is
that
why for
direction.
me, I put out some smaller steps. For example, what I mentioned, my 10K client formula is a great step. It's a masterclass that you can find on my website. It's a very comfortable, reasonable price point that moms can go in and check out what I have to offer. And they will see honestly so much value in that masterclass of 90 minutes. They get so much clarity coming out. I have so many people told me that after they've taken the classes, they wish they've taken the classes much earlier because that masterclass itself gave them so much clarity and can help them to just shortcut the journey. So again, there are steps that you can take. Oh, okay, this little masterclass can give you clarity.
Yep, yep. Thanks a lot, Millie, for sharing. I think it's the clarity through all these master classes, and at the same time to feel
Aligned and
whether it
comfortable.
is aligned. Yeah, correct. Whether is it aligned and you feel comfortable in working with this coach, because you have to really have that connection before you even start this journey. Like we talk about it, right? It's a journey.
Yes, the journey.
So yeah. So maybe before we end off, right? Because time really flies, and I really would love to have more conversation because you're sharing so much golden nugget. So what would be your last advice for mothers, right, that you would give to mothers who want to start their business or they want to land on their soul aligned clients?
Um, like I said in the last point, I think it is very, very important to have, going back to my shine to impact framework. You want to focus on four things. Number one is really having that aligned strategy. What is that would move the needle? Having that plan, that clarity, number one. The second part is really to consistently work on your mindset, activate your mindset so that you can up level. The third thing is having that sales and marketing strategy. What I like to use personally is a soulful marketing method. And of course, last but not least, a very important part is to invest boldly in yourself because that is the only way that you can get to your end goal. Whether it means investing in honing your craft, investing in coaches or mentor, or investing in different shorter courses and programs that will advance you. That is very important because the first few years of your business is really about focusing on growing yourself, right? So that is the last piece of advice that I would love to give to the mothers.
Wow, thanks a lot, Millie, for this last advice because it's really invest boldly. You really need to take courage to really make that step. And being an entrepreneur, you need to think boldly, act boldly, and invest boldly. So once again, maybe you can share with the audience how can they get connected with you so that they can ask more questions or they can check out your content and feel and also see if they can get connected with you.
That is wonderful. Thanks. So, the best way I'm most active on my Facebook. So, Kenneth has put the link there is facebook.com/the Millie Leung. So, that is where I'm most active on. Um, Otherwise, you can also check out what I have to offer on my website, millieleung.com. That you can find some free resources on there that help you to either turn your passion to profit, what I call the passion to profit playbook, or you can grab my 7 ways to land 3 soul aligned clients this week PDF that is also on my website. Other than that, there are some amazing masterclasses on there as well, including the one I just mentioned, the 10K client formula, as well as my irresistible offers formula masterclass that is also on there. But I also am working on something really, really cool that I'm excited to, if I might share, because in the past year, I've been working on with a lot of one-on-one clients, and a lot of my clients would know I'm often fully booked. So in this next phase that I'm launching, I'm actually working on a very, very amazing group coaching program that is gonna take my one-on-one framework and put it in a group setting and still getting a lot of support, but at a much more reachable price point for a lot of the mompreneurs. So if that is something that they want to talk about, then I feel free to connect with me on my Facebook. Once again, it's facebook.com/the Millie Leung. Send me a DM, then I will take you through what I have to offer right now. That is a really, really awesome next step for you.
Wow, thanks a lot, Millie. And you guys can check out a lot of all the freebies on millieleungs.com website. She's really someone who loves to give and give values, a lot of value. And if you guys want to get connected with her, you can can just DM her on her Facebook. So once again, thanks, Millie, for this really, really awesome. It's great to catch up with you after 6 years on my podcast. And I would say in this podcast, there's so much golden nuggets that I can just cut it out and share with the audience. And definitely there are more and more value on your website or even connect with you personally. So once again, thanks everyone for watching and tuning in, and especially for those who are still tuning live stream with us now. So thanks a lot, and I shall see everyone next week for the new episode of Mompreneur Space Live Show. Thank you, everyone. Thanks, Millie.
Bye bye, bye Kenny. Bye bye,
Thank
everyone.
you. Bye bye.